Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. I wanted to create this video because I wanted to give you probably the number one thing that you didn't get growing up that you needed in order for you to be not just a healthy, happy adult, but just have a real sense of peace and calmness to your life. And that is self-acceptance. The ability to know who you naturally are, the ability to understand that you were born into this human form with these traits, whether you are shy, whether you're an introvert, whether you're an extrovert, whether you're highly sensitive, whether you're very empathetic, whether you're artistic, whether you're a natural performer, whatever it is, whatever makes you who you are in all realms of your life, the great stuff and sometimes not the great stuff, or the stuff that you deem not that great. I don't even want to call them flaws because I don't think they are. There's just the parts of ourselves that we fight against that we don't always want to acknowledge. That ability to know who you are and fully accept yourself for who you are was probably something that you didn't get growing up. And the reason why we didn't get it is because we are conditioned as a society, as a world, as a human race sometimes to portray these images of what is acceptable. So we're supposed to look like this, we're supposed to act like this, we're supposed to be like this, we're supposed to live life in this way, we're supposed to go to school for 4 years, then we get this job, then we make this much money. So you have to look at your upbringing and how were you conditioned to be, and how were you looked down upon for being who you naturally are. So for me, I'm highly sensitive, so at times I wasn't really, that sensitiveness in me wasn't really honored because it was looked at as something that was being weak or that was being different. And so I learned not to honor who I was because that was just the way, that was the upbringing, right? That was just either the people around me or society and things like that. And it doesn't mean that people are doing this to cause harm upon us. It's just that they didn't have the awareness that we as a human race and society have now, where we understand that everyone has different talents and gifts and abilities. But when you're coming from a certain way of upbringing, a certain mentality, even if you do logically understand all of those theories, you won't put them into practice because you as the parent haven't healed yourself. So you cannot create a healthy adult, or you can't upbring a healthy child because you're still coming from all of that baggage, wounds, lack of self-acceptance within your own self as well. The reason why this is so important, and the reason why I'm even making a video on just this one thing of self-acceptance, is because so often we suffer in life because we don't accept who we are and where we're supposed to be in life, and we do things based on how we're programmed. We do things based on what people expect us to be, and we put ourselves into these categories that don't fit the mold, and we suffer, and something feels off, or we don't feel content and happy. For example, if you are a person who is a little bit more of an introvert and you want to work on Wall Street, if you're someone who's highly sensitive and you want to work on Wall Street and you want to live in New York City, that may not be the best situation for you, but you've been programmed and conditioned that by doing those things, it'll give you a sense of happiness, fulfillment, status, because what's important is the title, the money, where you are, all of those things. You've been programmed and conditioned in such an unhealthy way that you haven't gotten to the core of who you actually are and honored and fed yourself what it is that you really need to live a happy life, a content life, and not suffer. Now, you can learn coping skills on how to cope with, living in this world. And if you're highly sensitive, you can learn how to cope with living in the middle of Manhattan and working on Wall Street, but you won't feel that fulfillment. You won't feel that sense of peace, contentment, that lightness, that happiness that everyone should experience in their life. Is to understand that while you might be in jobs and in situations and in relationships, I don't want to say that you're good at in terms of the relationship, but you might be in situations where you're good at something that you're doing, but it's not the thing that you're meant to do. So one of the biggest things towards really, honing this practice of self-acceptance is to be brutally honest with who you are, what makes you tick, what feeds your soul, what gives you a sense of peace and calmness, who are you? Like, who are you? And how can you incorporate those things that make you tick into your day-to-day life? That doesn't mean that you leave Manhattan and you quit your job on Wall Street tomorrow, but it does mean that I need to become more of who I am, and I'm not honoring my natural abilities because I've been conditioned to be in this way and live in a world in this way. And you can still live in the world in that way, but just honoring who you are is so, so important. It's important to obviously not care what other people think and how people view some of your natural traits and abilities, and that other people's opinions have nothing to do with you. And being able to really love yourself and to really soothe yourself is essential towards being able to also accept yourself as well. It's kind of like all in one compass of completely learning how to take care of yourself and love yourself unconditionally. And that's really what the self-acceptance is. When you really accept a situation, you can unconditionally love the situation without a need for anything to change. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week.